नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल दोस्तों। स्वागत है आपका एक बार फिर से हमारे YouTube चैनल ब्रास फ्यूजन्स पर, जहां हम आपके लिए एक बार फिर से लेकर आए हैं एक नया लेसन।
Terms of peculiar jurisdiction. For example, let's say there is a case, and I'm giving you a very hypothetical example, which may not be, which is not practically possible. Let's say it is a matter of it's a company law matter. It should go to tribunal and not to a normal court, right? So the company law tribunal court is a court of limited jurisdiction. Of that matter, the red tribunal is a tribunal of, in fact they are hypothetical, they are in fact court of limited jurisdiction, right? Now, if they also try a matter which, the issue came regarding a company law matter, and company law tribunal gives a decision in it. Now, a subsequent suit, next suit is filed, right? In the next suit, there is some matter, some issue which was decided by the company law tribunal, and this issue is in controversy in the present suit also, right? So the question is will res judicata apply or not? कि जो company law tribunal है, क्योंकि वो court of limited jurisdiction है, पूरे second suit को try नहीं कर सकता. So will we say res judicata will not apply? The court says no, res judicata will still apply. I think there will be confusion. I will rephrase it. आराम से दोबारा समझाती हूँ. Explanation it says normal rule क्या है res judicata का? Normal rule है if there is a former court has been decided by a court for applying res judicata. This former court should also competent to decide the matter which subsequently arises. जो second suit में है, वो पहले वाले कोर्ट की कॉम्पिटेंसी होनी चाहिए ट्राई करने के लिए. ये जनरल रूल है. लेकिन एक्सप्लेनेशन 8 कहती है इफ देयर इज अ कोर्ट लिमिटेड जुरिस्डिक्शन जिसने पहले वाला डिसीजन लिया है, अब क्योंकि वो कोर्ट ऑफ लिमिटेड जुरिस्डिक्शन है, वो सेकंड वाले मैटर शायद ट्राई ना कर पाए पूरी तरह से. कुछ मैटर को कर पाए, कुछ को नहीं कर पाए, लेकिन तब भी हम रेस जुडिकेटा लगाएंगे. जैसे कि कंपनी लॉ ट्राइब्यूनल है या रेंट कंट्रोल ट्राइब्यूनल है, उसमें सिर्फ रेंट या कंपनी मैटर की जा सकते हैं, तो कोर्ट ऑफ लिमिटेड जुरिस्डिक्शन है इन टर्म्स ऑफ सब्जेक्ट मैटर. अब ऐसा कोई इशू दूसरे आप सिविल ये इसका डिसीजन आ जाता है विच इज हर्ड एंड फाइनली डिसाइडेड. उसके बाद कोर्ट में कोई पार्टी इसी मैटर को लेके एक सूट फाइल करती है जिसमें सारा का सारा मैटर सेम नहीं है बट इश्यूज सेम है. हमने बताया ना कि दिस अप्लाइज टू इश्यूज ऑल्सो, तो कुछ इश्यूज सेम है. तो क्या इश्यूज पे रेस जुडिकेटा लगेगा या नहीं लगेगा? एक्सप्लेनेशन 8 सेज रेस जुडिकेटा विल अप्लाई इवन दो पूरे सूट को वो पहले वाला कोर्ट ट्राई नहीं कर सकता था, लेकिन फिर भी res judicata will apply. This is kind of a proviso or protection which has been created. Is it clear, class? Class, please respond.
Yes.
All right. Now let's come to a very important topic, which is constructive res judicata. Now, what is constructive res judicata? See, I've told you about direct res judicata, whatever issues, whatever points have been covered, taken in the argument. Now, if the same arguments are in the same issues are there in the subsequent suit, then res judicata will apply. Now, what do you mean by constructive res judicata? We have explanation 4. Explanation 4 talks about constructive res judicata. What is it? Any matter which might or ought to have been made a ground of defense or attack in such former suit shall be deemed to have, underline this word, it shall be deemed to have been a matter directly and substantially in issue in such suit, which means that there is a matter, a ground of attack or a ground for that is any matter in which the court has to decide. Now, this could have been taken this matter, जो हमने सूट फाइल किया था फॉर्मर सूट में, in that suit this matter could have been taken up because This was related to the cause of action and all that. But this matter was not actually taken up as a ground of defense or as a ground of attack. Then the court will presume that this ground was taken, और जो आप second suit file करेंगे उसमें आप वो argument नहीं ले सकते. Res judicata will apply. I'll give you a simple example, it will become clear. When you talk about the grounds on which a tenant can be evicted from a house, right? Now there are 13-14 grounds which is given every Rent Control Act. Every Rent Control Act, every state is having their specific Rent Control Act. Delhi Rent Control Act, Haryana Rent Control Act, Rajasthan Rent Control Act. Every state is having their own Rent Control Act. However, more or less the provisions are similar in all of them. Now there are around 13 grounds in which a landlord can ask his tenant to be evicted. तो मान लीजिए उसमें से एक ग्राउंड होता है नॉन पेमेंट ऑफ रेंट फॉर 4 months. सेकेंड ग्राउंड जो होता है दैट द प्रॉपर्टी वाज गिवन फॉर रेजिडेंशियल पर्पस एंड नाउ द पर्सन इज एक्चुअली रनिंग कमर्शियल एक्टिविटीज इन योर हाउस, राइट? सो यू कैन आस्क द पर्सन टू बी इविक्टेड फ्रॉम टेनेंट टू बी इविक्टेड फ्रॉम योर हाउस. नाउ let's say there is a landlord, he has given the house on rent and he wants the tenant to be evicted on both these grounds. एक तो उसने 4 महीने से रेंट नहीं दिया है, दूसरी चीज है that he's actually using the property for commercial purpose which is actually meant to be used for only residential purpose. क्योंकि commercial आप देते तो आप rent ज्यादा लेते ना, and obviously कई areas में if it is a residential area you're not allowed to do the commercial activity, but the person has taken your house on rent and he's using it for commercial purpose. So that is also a ground for eviction, right? Now what happens is that a person goes to the court and asks for eviction of the tenant only on the ground that he has not paid rent for last 4 months, right? Now his plea is rejected. Let's say, okay, the case goes on, the case is heard and finally decided. जिसमें court कहता है no, this person has actually paid rent and it is only 1 महीने का rent बचा है which he promises to pay, तो eviction तो नहीं होगा, ठीक है? Case is heard, finally decided. Now this person, what he does is, now he goes to the court again, file a fresh plaint, and he says that, look, I want this person to be evicted on the ground that he is using my property, which was given for a residential purpose, he is using it for commercial purpose. So he should be evicted. Now, in this case, the court can apply res judicata. The court will say, you could have taken this ground in the first case itself. क्योंकि जिस टाइम पे आपने eviction के लिए फाइल किया, उस टाइम पे the property was actually being used for commercial purpose and he knew it and everything. Obviously, this has to be proved. So you should have taken this ground in the first suit itself. And since you did not take this ground, which you could have taken, it shall be deemed that you knew, it shall be deemed that as if you have taken the ground. So we are going to apply res judicata on that also, and we will not be giving you any relief in this regard. So what constructive res judicata means is whatever ground the party could have taken in the suit, if they do not take, just a moment, class. Just a moment. Alright, class. So what this basically means is register. Alright. So what this basically means is that whatever ground a party could have taken in this suit, if the party does not take that, then the court will presume कि आपने जैसे कि वो ground ले लिया था and res judicata will apply on that also. Clear, class? This is what constructive res judicata is. Class, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, moving forward, to res judicata between co-defendants. Now, what do you mean by res judicata between co-defendants? See, res judicata between co-defendants basically means who are co-defendants. Co-defendant is the same example as we talk about in the case of interpleader suit. Interpleader suit में क्या होता है? We have a plaintiff on one side and defendant on the other side. And the real controversy is between whom? Tell me. प्लेंटिफ और डिफेंडेंट के बीच में कंट्रोवर्सी है या डिफेंडेंट और डिफेंडेंट के बीच में कंट्रोवर्सी है?
मैम डिफेंडेंट एंड डिफेंडेंट.
Exactly. So the suit is basically between defendant and defendant, right? So they are called as a co-defendant. So what is the status of res judicata in the case of co-defendants? That's what we want to find out. See, there is a term which is, so this topic is regarding res judicata between co-defendants. Now the example is pro forma defendant. I'll write it in the chat box. Wait. Alright, it's pro forma defendant. What is a pro forma defendant? Okay, let me explain it to you by giving an example. See, let's say A and B are joint owners of a house. There are two parties, A and B. They are the joint owners of a house. Now, C is a person who's basically claiming the house or has occupied the house, or there is some controversy. He's actually laying claim on the house. Right? Now, A files a suit against C. That, look, A and B are joint owners of the house and C is trying to lay a claim on the house. So, A files a suit against C. He requests B that you also please join me, since it is a house which belongs to both of us. You please join me in this suit. B says, no, I am not interested at all. I am not going to join this suit at all. So, I am not interested. Now, but B is a necessary party. Necessary party because he is also a joint owner, so he has to be in a suit for the rights of the parties to be properly decided. So what can this plaintiff do? What this plaintiff can do is that since he cannot make him a plaintiff with him, he makes B as a defendant. Getting it class? क्योंकि जबरदस्ती आप किसी को प्लेंटिफ तो नहीं बना सकते कि मेरे साथ प्लेंट करो, लेकिन डिफेंडेंट तो आप किसी को भी बना सकते हो. जो भी आप प्लेंट पे जिसका भी नाम लिखोगे, दिस पार्टी इज अ डिफेंडेंट, दैट पार्टी बिकम्स अ डिफेंडेंट एंड अ नोटिस इज सर्व टू दैट पार्टी. राइट? सो व्हाट ए डज इज ए मेक्स बी एंड सी एज द डिफेंडेंट. जिसमें रियल कंट्रोवर्सी किसके बीच में है? रियल कंट्रोवर्सी तो ए और सी के बीच में है. बी को तो सिर्फ आपने इसलिए इंक्लूड किया है बिकॉज ही वॉज नॉट रेडी टू बिकम अ प्लेंटिफ. Such kind of defendant is called as the pro forma defendant. Clear class? So now the issue is when we say application of res judicata between co-defendants, will res judicata apply between B and C or not? क्योंकि B और C दोनों क्या है? वो defendant हैं. Class, are you understanding this example? Are you with me or should I explain again?
Please explain again.
Okay. See, देखो, एक घर है जो कि it belongs to A and B both, right? They are the joint owners. Now, C is a third party who is laying claim over this house. Now, A B के पास जाता है और वो बोलता है, look, C has occupied a house, कब्जा कर लिया है, let's file a suit against him. B says, no, I'm not interested. I do not have that kind of money or time to waste on court proceedings. I am not going to file a suit. I have many houses. I am not interested. So what is the option available with A? A बेचारा खुद ही अकेला जाके सूट फाइल करेगा, लेकिन B को सूट में इंक्लूड करना जरूरी है. और क्यों जरूरी है? बिकॉज he is a necessary party. When we do parties order one, I'll tell you what is necessary party and proper party. तो बी के बिना सूट डिसाइड हो ही नहीं सकता बिकॉज ही इज ऑल्सो अ जॉइंट ओनर. तो उसको केस में इंक्लूड करना जरूरी है. तो इस केस में ए क्या कर सकता है? प्लेंटिफ जबरदस्ती किसी को बना नहीं सकता, लेकिन डिफेंडेंट तो किसी को भी बना सकता है. जिसके अगेंस्ट भी आप प्लेन डालोगे वो डिफेंडेंट बन जाएगा. सो व्हाट सी डज इन दिस केस इज what A does in this case is A makes B and C as the defendant in this case. Right? यहाँ तक समझ में आया everybody? Shobit?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now what happens? Now since the real controversy is between whom? The real controversy is between A and C and not between A and B. A and B के बीच में कुछ controversy है नहीं है. So such kind of defendant, this B, such kind of defendant is called as the pro forma defendant. Now the issue is, let's say this suit is decided, right? A judgment comes in this suit, whichever way, A के favor में या C के favor में, that is immaterial. Question is, will res judicata apply between co-defendants? Who are the co-defendants in this case? B and C are the co-defendants. So the question is that will res judicata apply between B and C because दोनों ही defendant थे इस case में. हमने बोला res judicata तो apply करता है between plaintiff and defendant. So here is a peculiar kind of situation. We are asking, will res judicata apply between the co-defendants also? That is, will res judicata apply between B and C also? The answer here is yes. And why is it yes? Because there are three things which should be there if you want to apply res judicata between co-defendants. Firstly, there must be a conflict of interest between the co-defendants. Right? तो B और C के बीच में conflict of interest है या नहीं है? Class tell me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. B and C are
Of course there is. B is the owner of the house and C is the one who is illegally occupying that house. So definitely there is a conflict of interest. Second point is, it must be necessary to decide that, it must be necessary to decide that conflict in order to give relief to the plaintiff. So it is obviously essential to decide this conflict to give relief. C is occupying the house. So the conflict which is there regarding who is the owner of the house has to be decided to give any kind of relief to the plaintiff. यहाँ पे court decision देगा, yes, the house belongs to A and B and not to C. तभी तो A को relief मिलेगी. Right? So it is necessary to decide this kind of issue. Third is, the co-defendant is the necessary or the proper party. Now, necessary party is a party without which the suit cannot proceed. He has a stake in the property which is under the litigation. ठीक है? इस case में I've told you B is definitely a necessary party because B is the owner of that house, co-owner, joint owner of the house. So without him the suit cannot be decided because the property does not belong to A alone. So definitely B is a necessary party. So that is how we say that res judicata can apply not only between plaintiff and defendant, but res judicata applies between co-defendants also. That means between a defendant and defendant also, provided these three situations are satisfied. Firstly, there has to be a conflict of interest between the defendant. Secondly, it is necessary to decide this conflict. To give the relief to the plaintiff, this conflict has to be decided. Thirdly, these co-defendants have to be necessary parties, necessary or proper parties. Clear, class? So that is why res judicata not only applies between plaintiff and defendant, it can apply between co-defendants also, provided these three conditions are satisfied. Class clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now let me do order to rule 2. See, order to rule 2 is again a principle which is related to this concept only. So I would like to do it with this topic. Let's open it. All of you please open order to rule 2. For that matter, I'll open order 2 only. I hope now everybody knows when I say order to rule 2, I mean what? After your sections, there are orders. और उस orders के नीचे जो 1, 2, 3, 4 लिखा है, that is, these are the rules. Fine, class? So that's how you read. When I say order to rule 2, this means after your sections, the orders are given. Open that order. In that order, 1, 2, 3, 4 जो लिखे हुए हैं, these are the rules. So how do we read it? order 2 rule 2 या फिर order 1 rule 1 ऐसे करके भी read it. Fine? Okay. Now order 2 rule 2 talks about what? See, order 2 rule 2 basically talks about the relief that can be claimed. Let's read the order. It basically talks about the splitting of the claim. It says, suit to include the whole claim. Every suit shall include the whole of the claim which the plaintiff is entitled to make in respect to the cause of action. But a plaintiff may relinquish any portion of his claim in order to bring the suit within the jurisdiction of any court. Which means what? Basically, order 2 rule 2 talks about the relief part. Whenever you are asking for a relief is आप जो plaint लिखते हो, last में you write the prayer that what is it that you want from the court, what is it that you want the court to order that it should be given to you. That is covered under relief part, right? So order 2 rule 2 basically talks about that, and it says that any suit that you are filing, whatever relief you want, whatever claim that you have, you should file a suit for the entire amount of the claim. For example, let's say somebody has borrowed rupees 10 lakh from me. So when I'm filing a suit, I should be writing that I want this person, he has taken 10 lakh rupees from me. My prayer is, I want him to pay rupees 10 lakh to me with interest. So that is what I should ask for. However, let's say I want this case to be decided by a particular court which is not having the pecuniary jurisdiction of 10 lakh and is having the pecuniary jurisdiction of only 8 lakhs. And I want the suit to be decided by that court only. So what I do is I can relinquish my claim. Relinquish मतलब छोड़ देना. तो मैं बोलती चलो कोई बात नहीं, लोन तो उसने 10 लाख का लिया था, बट मैं क्लेम सिर्फ 8 लाख कर लेती हूँ ताकि सिविल जज सीनियर डिवीजन के लेवल पर ही केस सेटल हो जाए. आई डू नॉट हैव टू गो टू डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट, बिकॉज अगर 10 लाख का क्लेम हुआ आई विल हैव टू फाइल अ सूट इन द डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट. डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट में लॉयर्स की फीस भी ज्यादा होती है, whatever reason. Right? So if you want the case to be brought under the jurisdiction of a particular court, and that is why you leave your claim, you relinquish your claim, मतलब आप अपने क्लेम को छोड़ देते हो. So that can be done. लेकिन एक चीज याद रखना, अगर आप अपने क्लेम को relinquish कर देते हो तो ऐसा नहीं है कि आप बाद में उसे मांग सकते हो. Once you have relinquished your claim, you have relinquished for all times to come. That means दोबारा एक बार आप 8 लाख का सूट कर दो, फिर आप 2 लाख का सूट कर दो, this is not allowed. Clear class?
Could you explain?
Okay. So what is? Let me read this. Complete this rule order 2, and then it will become clearer. See. Okay. Let me read order 2 rule 2. It says every
Ma'am, voice breaking.
suit shall include the whole of the claim which the plaintiff is entitled to make. Voice.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
दोस्तों, ब्रास फ्यूजन आशा करता है कि आपको हमारा लेसन पसंद आया होगा. कमेंट बॉक्स में अपना फीडबैक देना ना भूलें. थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग.